Hello everyone, my name is Joseph Yagin. Today I am going to discuss about the hormonal regulation of blood glucose level and about diabetes mellitus. So hormones play a significant role in the regulation of blood glucose level. So some hormones like insulin we are going to discuss. So insulin is produced by the beta cell of islet of Langerhans of the pancreas, and insulin lowers the blood glucose level. So it is a hypoglycemic hormone. So in case of hyperglycemia, it stimulates insulin production. It is an anti-diabetogenic hormone. Insulin increases glycolysis and decreases the gluconeogenesis. So next hormone is glucagon. So glucagon is synthesized by the alpha cell of islet of Langerhans of the pancreas. So glucagon increases the blood glucose level. It is a hyperglycemic hormone. So in case of hypoglycemia, it stimulates the glucagon production. It enhances the gluconeogenesis and glycogenolysis. So after that we have epinephrine. Epinephrine is secreted by the adrenal medulla. Epinephrine increases blood glucose level, and it also acts both on the muscle and liver to bring about the glyconeolysis. The end product is glucose in the liver and lactate in the muscle. So after that we have the thyroxine. So it is a hormone of thyroid gland. All of you know that it increases blood glucose level by stimulating the hepatic glyconeolysis and the gluconeogenesis. So after that we have these glucocorticoids. These are the hormones which produced by the adrenal cortex. Glucocorticoids stimulate protein metabolism and increase gluconeogenesis. Glucocorticoids increase the blood glucose level. So in the last hormone we have there growth hormone and adrenocorticotropic hormone, ACTH. So the anterior pituitary gland secretes growth hormone and ACTH. This is adrenocorticotropic hormone. The uptake of glucose by certain tissues like muscle tissue, adipose tissue, is decreased by growth hormone. ACTH decrease glucose utilization. So the net effect of both the hormone, which is growth hormone and adrenocorticotropic hormone, is hyperglycemic. The net effect is hyperglycemic. So after that we have the diabetes mellitus. All of you know that what diabetes mellitus is. So diabetes mellitus is characterized by the increased blood glucose level, that is hyperglycemia. So we know that we have two types of diabetes mellitus. One is insulin dependent diabetes mellitus and another one is non-insulin dependent diabetes mellitus. So the first one is insulin dependent diabetes mellitus. So insulin dependent diabetes mellitus, also known as type 1 diabetes mellitus or juvenile onset diabetes mellitus. So mainly occurs in children between the 12 to 15 years, and insulin dependent diabetes mellitus account for the about 10 to 20% of the diabetes cases. So this disease is characterized by deficiency of insulin due to the destruction of beta cells of pancreas. The beta cells destruction may be caused by various cases like due to drugs, due to virus or autoimmunity. So due to the destruction of beta cell, the pancreas ultimately fail to secrete the insulin in response to glucose ingestion. So the patient of the insulin dependent diabetes mellitus require insulin therapy. So in case of insulin dependent diabetes mellitus, we need to take insulin therapy. So next one is non-insulin dependent diabetes mellitus. So it is also called as type 2 diabetes mellitus or adult onset diabetes mellitus. So mainly occurs in adults, usually above 35 years. So it is most common and less severe than insulin dependent diabetes mellitus. So non-insulin dependent diabetes mellitus accounts for about 80 to 90% of the diabetes cases. So the causative factor of the non-insulin dependent diabetes mellitus includes like genetic factor or environmental factors. So non-insulin dependent diabetes mellitus commonly occurs in obese individuals. So obese individuals become resistant to the insulins. This is due to the decrease in insulin receptors on the insulin responsive cells. The weight reduction by the diet control alone is the often sufficient to correct the non-insulin dependent diabetes mellitus. So we have test for this type 2 diabetes mellitus. This is oral glucose tolerance test. So one of the most common tests for the diagnosis of diabetes mellitus, which is oral glucose tolerance test, OGTT. So preparation of the patient, how to prepare the patient for this test. So the patient should take carbohydrate rich diet for at least 3 days prior to the test, and all the drugs known to influence carbohydrate metabolism should be discontinued for at least 2 days, before 2 days. So and for that, patient need to fast for at least 8 hours before the scheduled test. The patient may drink the water, but he should be in the fasting state. So the patient should avoid the strenuous exercise, excessive exercise. 1 day before the test, the patient should fast for at least 8 hours. Already we have discussed that one. During the test procedure, the person should be comfortably seated and should refrain from the smoking and exercise. You should avoid smoking and exercise. So next is the procedure for OGTT. So preferably this test is preferably conducted in the morning. It should be conducted in the morning time, and a fasting blood sample is drawn and urine collection is done. So blood and urine sample is needed for the OGTT test. So the patient here, the procedure, the patient is given 75 grams of glucose dissolved in about 300 ml of water to be drunk in about 5 minutes. So within 5 minutes he should drink 300 ml of water which contains 75 grams of glucose. Blood and urine sample are collected at 30 minutes interval for at least 2 hours, and all the blood samples are subjected to glucose estimation, and while urine samples are qualitatively tested for glucose. And next we have the interpretation of OGTT. Next we have interpretation of the OGTT. So conditions in case of fasting, in normal diabetes is 75 to 110 mg per dl plasma glucose concentration, which is normal in case of fasting, and impaired glucose tolerance 110 to 126 mg per dl in case of fasting. And if we have increased more than 126 mg per dl plasma glucose concentration, that means we have the diabetes. So in case of 2 hours after glucose, the normal diabetes range is below 140 mg per dl, and impaired glucose 140 to 200 mg per dl. And if we have more than 200 mg per dl plasma glucose concentration after 2 hours of glucose intake, that means we have the diabetes. So this is all. Thank you.